As we begin to wind down, let's talk about the issue of rights as far as audiovisual is concerned. We're being joined on the program by Mahmoud Ali Balogo. He's the chairman of the Visual Rights Society of Nigeria. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program.
A pleasure.
I'm sure some people are hearing this for the very first time, Audiovisual Rights Society of Nigeria. So education
is key.
Is key. Yes. So break it down for us. How is this different from COSON?
Well, very, very different from COSON, even though we do the same work. Maybe we should be talking about COSON now because COSON, by virtue of our laws, is not what is responsible, the organization responsible for music right now. But COSON is what most people are familiar with, right? But what AVRS, the acronym is short for Audiovisual Rights Society of Nigeria, is what COSON is to, or I would say what's to music. AVRS is to movies, television programming, magazine shows, drama, and what have you. It's a collecting society in place, licensed and approved by government to mitigate the menace of abuse of content, right? Piracy and all that, whether you do it intentionally or unintentionally. How does this work? As a collecting society, what you do is you license people who use our works. That's some talk of movies, TV shows, dramas, and what have you, in their commercial establishments for profit, right? So what we now do is that we license those people, hotels, broadcast stations, transporters, hair salons, barbing salons, and what?
Airlines.
Airlines. Great. You're already catching the groove, right? And then we do this on behalf of the right owners. Who are these right owners? You're talking of producers, you're talking of actors and actresses who play major roles, not just wakapas. You're talking of directors of movies, programs. You're talking of the writers, screenwriters, not just any writers, screenwriters, writers that have done jobs that have been displayed, right? It's not just somebody who's written a script and said, oh, I've written this. That work must have been exposed to the public in a format, that is the screen, right? That's why it's an audiovisual lesson. And these monies that we collect on behalf of these people who are supposed to belong to AVRS, to be members of AVRS, because not every filmmaker that is entitled to get what we collect. So what we collect from these people I've mentioned will, at the end of the day, distribute to these categories of right holders, right? That's what we do. Because ordinarily, as a filmmaker, I can't go to every hotel or every establishment that is exploiting my work, that is using my work to drive his business. So we collectively do that for every filmmaker who belongs to us. And also the hotels, I use hotels because that's the low-hanging fruit, you know, or television station, or hospitals. Yes, hospitals, because hospitals today use our works for therapy. You know, because you go to this hospital, you see TV rooms. Hospitals are like hotels these days. Have you been to some of them recently? No, not just to visit, right? So these people cannot handle the different people coming to them. They say, look, I saw you playing my movie. I saw you playing my drama program. So we interface with these users on behalf of the filmmakers, the right holders. And at the end of the day, whatever we collect, which is a fraction, I mean it, a fraction of what they are charging. But because it's for everybody in the country and outside, it becomes something tangible. And this, at the end of the day, would distribute to our members.
You know, Jeffrey's question about the visibility of the organization is important, which brings me to my next question. How popular is the AVRS amongst filmmakers, producers, directors, content providers? And, you know, that's a way of asking also, what is the strength of membership registered members of, you know, this category of creatives who are due to collect copyright?
Whatever we collect, yes. Right. It's a new organization, not new per se, not in it, but in terms of the history of collective management, the world over, and in Nigeria in particular, we're still very young. It got approved and licensed in 2014, but operationally, we started running from about 2019, right? And then COVID came, you know. So we've been doing stakeholder engagement around the country. We've done not less than 8, right? We've been to Kano, we've been to Abuja, we've been to Port Harcourt, we've been to Asaba, Lagos several times, to Kano twice. We've been to Abeokuta, Ijebu-Ode, Ilorin, particularly Asaba, catchment areas where we know our production hubs and where our works are being exploited. Those catchment areas that are production hubs are for our members, potential members, for people who should belong. And some of those cities we've been to us were areas where we know our works are being exploited by the users, by the hotels and all that. And we invite them. In Lagos, we had about three or four of such. And we've invited organizations, even some of our outings were covered by channels. So we are grateful to channels for that, you know.
Yeah,
at no cost.
Well, magnanimous, thank you. So what's the data of registered members who duly collect copyright from the society?
Right now we are in the region of 1,000, right? Because like I said earlier, it's not everybody involved in the film industry that is entitled to rights payment.
So very quickly,
yes.
And this is important for broadcast organizations. When does a user infringe upon the law and is using the content for commercial purposes?
You've said it. The user infringes when you use the work without the permission of the right owner or without getting a license from AVRS, from Audiovisual Rights Society of Nigeria. Because why we're in place is because the society, the government wants it to be easier for you to be able to interface and not run foul of the law. So AVRS issues you a license, so the filmmaker does not now come to you to disturb you to say, look, you're using my work. You can imagine how ugly that will be.
It's interesting to see this right, because I'm going to bring something that the Minister of Arts, Culture, Tourism, and Creative Economy, the long name, things. But I'm sure you're talking about mechanical royalty. So let's talk about numbers now. How much have you been able to collect? How much have you been able to distribute to people?
Thank you.
To the producers.
You know, collection has been quite tough. Nigeria is not an easy place to... People don't even want to pay their tax. And you're not coming to them with this. They say, what is this all about? I can't even play music. I can't play movies in my establishment anymore. Why? Yes, it's been tough. In terms of collection, because basically we've concentrated on hotels, which is the low-hanging fruit. Because if you don't have those facilities in your hotels, nobody will come. The hotels, we're grateful to the hotels who are paying so far, but it's still a drop in the ocean.
Give us numbers.
In terms of numbers, so far we've collected roughly in our less than 5-year operation. I'm just trying to get the figures now. We've collected close to 100 million, right? And we distributed about half of that.
Okay, that's interesting. So,
yes,
I know that as I was talking about the Minister of that long ministry,
yes.
I'll have to look for an acronym: Art, Culture, Tourism, and Creative
Musawa's
Economy.
Ministry. Yes, maybe.
They are talking about something called the, I think, Creative Economy Development Fund.
Yes.
Where it's going to serve like an SPV to get for creatives to get like, say, debts, quasi-debts, quasi-equity rather.
Yes.
That has to do with dilutive, some of those hybrid form of getting sorts of funding,
yes.
and literally equity.
But
the other one that interests me is the one they call the intellectual property monetization pilot, which has to do with yours.
Okay.
Because I saw them speaking some strong economic grammar, more like I heard things like securitization and collateralization of all this intellectual property. Because I invest in Nigerian local bonds as well as indexes in the Americas. And if you're floating anything in that direction, I want to be sure your corporate governance structure is really strong for me to get my return on investment as much as possible. Right. So I would like you to speak to that if you're familiar with it. How do they intend to integrate all of you into this? Because it sounds interesting on paper in terms of what they intend to do with it to make sure that people get return for their intellectual property.
Right. I think we need to get certain things clear here. My organization, as a company, by the way, limited by guarantee. You know, it's not an association. It's a company limited by guarantee. Just like every company where you have shareholding, right? We are concerned with the finished product. The product must have been produced and been exploited by the society through the organizations I mentioned earlier, right? It's what is exploited, the intellectual property that is being exploited that we are talking about. After you must have invested, spent your money, done the production, and people are now using it. That is where we come in. And in terms of our coming in also, we are not the first source of revenue for you. You'll have maybe gone to the cinema, given it to one of the platforms streaming or any local, you might have distributed it. It's the residuals over the years that we get for you. Because after you've produced the film can last forever, right? Take a movie like Casablanca, people are still watching it, right? And the owner is still getting royalty, right? Until the person dies. And after the person dies, 50 years after, you're entitled to something from it, and after that, you don't get anything anymore. So in our case, what we do is that once you push the work out, what they are doing at the ministry, the culture, arts, tourism and creative economy.
Yes, creative economy, that's a key
creative
word.
Economy. It's beautiful, right? But it's still a long way to freedom in the sense that there are things that needs to be put in place, right? In terms of, to go into that really, it's not the funding essentially that the industry needs now, by virtue of my understanding of the industry as a filmmaker.
All right.
It's exploitation avenues where you can distribute your works.
That you need.
That you need. You know, because where the money goes today, it's not Nigeria. We produce here. We go on those platforms. Who owns those platforms? And our cinemas are not doing too well.
We should begin to think about our own streaming platforms and infrastructure for the showing of our content.
At the end of the day, because I think he's talking about literally just optimizing what we have. But, you know, we explore these IPs that we're talking about, intellectual.
IPs are always there.
Thank you. My producer is on my ear that we have to go.
Thank you. We'll come again.
Mr. Mahmoud Ali Balogun, the chairman of the Audiovisual Rights Society of Nigeria, AVRS. Thank you for the work you do.
And filmmaker too.
A filmmaker. Thank you.
Thank you.
And of course, that's where we're going to wrap up today on the program. Is a weekend edition. So hey, we're going to see you again on Monday for another edition of the Morning Brief. I'm Jeffrey. My Sunrise Daily is up next at the top of the hour. Bye-bye.
And the world is your oyster. You never know how far your dream can go. Thank you so much for watching. We're back again on Monday. I am Bukola Koka. Bye for now.